Once upon a time, in a tabletop role-playing game called Dungeons & Dragons Candlekeep Mysteries, the joy of extra-dimensional spaces. There was a young human male paladin named Leonidas who grew up in the town of Phandalin. It had once been a thriving town, but had been stricken with an awful drought over the past several 10-day. The town mage asked Leonidas to seek out the powerful mage Matrius at Candkekeep Library and ask for his aid in ending this dreadful curse upon Phandalin. Candkekeep is a magnificent library located on the Sword Coast at the end of the Way of the Lion. It is looked after by a group of sages and scholars known as the Avowed. Kybane, a young Avowed wizard, was assigned to help Leonidas with his endeavors at Candkekeep. She led Leo to the study that was assigned to Matrius, but he was not there. His belongings were where he had last left them, and they found a book laid open on his table. The Joy of Extra-Dimensional Spaces was left open to a page with handwritten notes in code that Kybane easily deciphered. She read the code word aloud, scepter, and a portal of shimmering translucent doors appeared in the middle of the room. The pair let their curiosity guide them as they stepped toward the portal doors. On the other side, Matrius was shocked, but happy to see them. He explained that he had been stuck here with no way back after the portal doors disappeared. Leonidas introduced himself and explained the trouble Phandalin was in. Matrius agreed to help Phandalin if Leo and Kybane would search the rest of the mansion for any treasure or secrets it may hold. He had already found an ornately carved statue of an imp that he planned on studying when he got back to the library. The wizard and paladin agreed, and Matrius returned to Candkekeep through the portal. But as soon as he stepped through, there was a scream and a thud, and the portal closed shut. There was nothing left for the pair to do but search for a way out. The first room they came upon was a grand library filled with rows of books, lush carpets and tapestries, and comfortable benches and desks with chairs. On one of the desks, they spied an unusual book whose spine had but a single letter on it, R. Nothing else unusual caught their attention, so they continued on to the study that connected to the library. It was a smaller room whose shelves contained not only books, but journals and thousands of handwritten notes. A curious black cat perched on a pile of notes looked at them quizzically as they entered the room. Leonidas loved all manner of furry creature and cuddled the feline as Kybane scanned the notes. Vistandia, the creator of the magical mansion, had created it as her own personal home and sanctuary. Upon further inspection, she learned that the powerful mage had left a code in the form of book spines should ever anyone find themselves trapped, like they were, in her fortress. After finding another code book, this time with the letter I on it in the study, they went back to the library to grab the book they found earlier. They then found themselves in the kitchen where two cheerful homunculi named Cumin and Coriander greeted them. They insisted on treating their new guests to delicious drinks and tasty treats. They divulged that their master had not been home in quite some time, but that they were instructed not to touch any of the books, especially the ones with the letters on the spines. After enjoying their snacks, Kai and Leo entered a large laboratory. Its walls were covered in a star map. Curiously, 5 stars stood out in a shiny silver paint, as well as a golden, shiny sun that was centered above a locked door. After a few failed attempts at forcing the door open, they continued on to the planetarium. Kai noticed there were 5 telescopes encircling one large crystal perched on a pedestal in the center of the room. They wondered if this was another puzzle and quickly got to work positioning the telescopes toward the 5 stars that they had seen on the star map in the previous room. They had been right. The crystal glowed and the door in the laboratory unlocked. On the other side of the locked door, they found another library, but this one was different than the one they had seen before. This room had but one bookshelf, a bench, and a desk, all covered with dust and cobwebs. The most unusual thing about this bookshelf, though, was that it was covered in chains. They approached the dusty desk and saw a lone book with the letter L on its spine atop it. As Kai reached out to take the book, the chained books on the nearby shelf began to move. They flew off of the shelf and began pelting the intruders. Leo drew his sword, and Kai slung blasts of frost at the animated shelf. The chains wrapped around Kybane, stopping her Arctic blasts, but Leonidas helped her escape. They ran out of the secret library and slammed the door shut. They made their way quickly to the last remaining rooms, but they were not safe yet. Swords flew at them off the walls in the trophy room as they grabbed the book they found there with the letter Y on the spine. In Festandia's bedroom, they found another furry feline friend atop the E code book, and finally, in a room full of glass speakers and strange-smelling chemicals, they found a book labeled with a B. The adventurers then made their way back to the foyer where they had first entered the magnificent mansion and laid the books out on the floor. RITLYEB. After rearranging the books, they had it. Liberty. They shouted the word aloud, and the portal doors appeared where they had been previously. They exited the mansion and found themselves back in Candkekeep, where Matrius lay unconscious. The imp was going through his pockets, and Kybane landed an icy blast square in its chest. Leonidas finished the imp off with a swift blow, and they set to reviving Matrius. When he awoke, he graciously agreed to help break the curse upon Phandalin and thanked the newly found friends for saving him. This is but the first of many adventures Kybane and Leonidas will go on together. I hope you've enjoyed this tale, and I hope you have sweet dreams of your own adventures tonight.